Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. I'm your host Avik, and today's conversation is one that will ignite your mind, expand your perspective, and inspire you to live with joy on purpose. So, if I have to start, have you ever wondered how to truly maximize your potential, design a life of meaning, and leave the world better than you found it? So, our guest today is Nathaniel A. Turner. So, welcome to the show, Nathaniel.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Lovely, lovely. So, before we start, I'll quickly love to introduce you to all the listeners. Dear listeners, Nathaniel is a living example of what it means to live with intentionality and the purpose. So, a humanitarian propulsion engineer and college and career readiness strategist, TEDx speaker, and the best selling author. So, Net has dedicated his life to helping people rethink the success, legacy, and humanity itself. So, today we will talk about what it really means to be a human and how to lead a life of service and the impact. And also at the same time, how to craft a future that we can all be proud of. So, this is the conversation that you don't want to miss. So, let's get started. Welcome to the show again.
Thank you. Thanks again. I'm happy to be here.
Lovely, lovely. So, to start with your personal journey, if you can share how did your personal journey shape your understanding of humanity and the responsibility to one another?
How my personal journey. So I'm originally from a place called Gary, Indiana. It's a very unique place. And when I was growing up in the late '60s, early '70s, I
Mhm.
had a village, a community of people who inspired me and encouraged me to be the best version of myself that I could be.
Mm.
Unlike what I think happens today, a lot we talk to people about things like generational wealth. We talk about
Hmm.
things that we can't take to the grave with us. Those people talk to me about who I wanted to be when my time on this planet was no more.
Understood. So, one of the things that make your approach so unique is the life template. So, if
Mm-hmm.
you can break down what it is and how anyone can apply it to their own life.
Sure. It originated from an idea my wife and I had in order to get a unborn child to meet the academic requirements of Harvard. So in 1994, I learned I was going to be a father. My wife and I, we wrote Harvard for an application. We looked at the application, of course, and noticed that Harvard wanted great people had great grades and great test scores. That part was obvious. But there were two other things embedded in that application. The second one was that Harvard was looking for people who were, as they said, world citizens, and they were also looking for people who cared for something greater than themselves. And we thought, wow, that's a really unique way to raise a child. So we the ideal of great grades and test scores, we kept that, but we modified it some, and we call it today intellectual ambition. And then the part about being a world citizen, for us, we understood at the time that he should be able to speak multiple languages. So he does. But we also want to make sure he was globally and culturally competent. He understood other people's situations and could make the connection between his situations here in America and those abroad. And the last part was about raising someone who cared for something greater than himself. And today we call that humanitarian driven. But the point of the entirety of the life temple is that the goal was to make sure he could meet the academic requirements of Harvard. And in life, the goal is to figure out where it is you want to go and show you the strategy to work backwards to get there.
Understood, understood. And like, how did this framework play a role in your son's remarkable educational journey? Like, how can parents implement this in their own families?
Yeah, I think I think it's an easy process, but people sometimes complicate it. I don't know where are you in the world? You
I'm in India.
Okay, so what's the best school in India? But let's just say you want to leave India and you want to go to Harvard too. The
Hmm.
ideal is to know where you want to go. It's
Yeah,
like a GPS. The problem that we experience is that most people don't know specifically where they want to go. Parents will say, "I want my child to go to college," and that's great. There are thousands of colleges. Which one? There are different types of colleges. Which one? And so we ask people to be very specific about what it is you want to happen in your child's life.
got it, got it. Great. And also, you were known for your powerful insights on the education and preparing children for the future. So, what are some of the biggest mistakes that we make when it comes to raising and educating the next generation?
In America, we wait much too long. Um,
Ah,
the the brain science indicates that children's brains develop the most by age 5, if not sooner by 30%, I mean 80%, I'm sorry, by age 3. And in America, most children don't have to go to school until they're 7 or 8 years old. So they've spent the first 7 or 8 years of their lives, in most cases, not learning anything, or certainly not learning how to learn. And so I think that's one of the biggest mistakes, that we just wait too long. There's so much that could be accomplished in those first 7 years, and they can be accomplished by parents.
gotcha. Gotcha. So, I mean, that's such a critical point. So, in today's fast changing world, how can parents and the educators equip the kids with skills that go beyond just test scores?
Yes, an excellent question. So I don't, again, as I mentioned, we changed the portion about grades and test scores to intellectual ambition. So one of the things we do is we encourage parents to learn the Socratic method so that they can then they can teach their children the Socratic method. It's a great way of analyzing the world. It's a great way of finding the meaning of life. But we ask parents to do that, not to focus so much on grades and test scores, because we believe that a child who is intellectually ambitious will have great grades and test scores. But a child who is only focused on grades and test scores will not be intellectually ambitious, which is why we see lots of young people get into great schools and then say they feel like an imposter, or they have difficulty finishing, or they change their major. It's my belief, because they never understood that it's not about grades and test scores. It's about enlightenment. It's not about learning. It's about enlightenment.
Gotcha. And okay, so here I have to say one thing. I mean, education isn't just about the grades, or it's basically about I mean, preparing the young minds for a meaningful and the impactful life. So, yeah.
Yeah,
And
I was say
yeah,
yes. That you're exactly right. That's what we're talking about.
yeah, yeah. So, and you often talk about the responsibility. I mean, we all have to leave the world better than we found it.
Mhm.
So, how can the average person start making a real impact today?
So I would say there are two questions that I typically ask people, and the first one is, if the world were perfect, then what?
Uh-huh.
And I'll just be quiet, because if the world were perfect, then you would do what?
Hmm.
My experience is that most people, when you hear that question, it
Uh,
throws you off, because you are accustomed to putting up obstacles and obstructions about why you can't do something. So I just want to say, if the world were perfect, then what? And then the second question I would ask you is, I borrowed this from the movie Barbie, which is
hmm.
to ask you, what were you made for? And if you can answer those two questions, I think you have a start.
Hmm. Okay. So, what advice do you have for someone who wants to make a difference, but they feel like overwhelmed about where to start?
Well, the first difference is to be the best version of yourself. So
Hmm.
if you don't know where to start with yourself. Start with the person in the mirror. Assess who you are. Ask yourself, if today was your last day, have you done everything you want to do? And if you haven't, then write a list of all the things that you would want to do that you haven't done. If you're not, if there are things that you've said to people that you would hate having to wake up and them not be here, or you not be here, then fix those things now. Don't
Hmm.
assume that you'll have it tomorrow. Do as much as you can with today.
Okay. Understood. And also, uh, here I have to mention, it's like for the listeners who want to learn more about you, your books, and your work, where they can find you.
Like everyone, I have a website. This Nathaniel, Nathaniela Turner, Turner.com. And from there you can find everything else, our YouTube page, our Instagram stuff, the threads, Facebook, etc., LinkedIn.
Okay. Okay. And also, like, do you have any daily habits or the mindset shifts that have helped you personally maintain a life of the purpose and the joy?
Yeah, I have a series of things that I do every
Okay.
single day.
Uh-huh.
Um, to start with, when I wake each day, I typically try not to talk to anyone. I
Mm-hmm.
grab my laptop. I set a timer on my laptop. I play
Okay.
some classical music and I write for 20 minutes. And I write about my life as I'd like it to be, not as it is.
Okay.
So if there are things, as I mentioned to you, if there are things that I still want to accomplish, I write
Mhm.
about those things, having accomplished them. If I had a bad day, sometimes I'll just sit down and I'll write myself out of a bad day. I call it journaling forward. I write my life the way I want it to be, as opposed to how it is. That's the first thing I do. I eat. I'm a vegan, so I'm very strict about the things that I put in my body. I consume a lot of gallon of water every day because I understand the connection between hydration and the power of your brain.
Mhm.
Um, I exercise every day. I try to get about 10,000 steps every day. My goal is to get 100 minutes of physical activity each day, to get 10,000 steps, to burn about 600 calories at least from working out. So, again, there's a series of things that I do every single day.
Got it. Understood. Yeah. Huh. So, like, I mean, any final words of wisdom for our listeners who are ready to step into a more intentional and impactful life?
All right. So, I think the word I would leave you with is the word who.
Hmm.
And I would leave you with who because who will be the word that shows up when your obituary is written, who will
Hmm.
be the word that shows up when your eulogy is spoken, and who will be the words that show up on someone's tomb or urn or when their time on this planet is up. Who is also how we're judged while we're on this planet, and by who we helped, who we served, and who knew their life mattered. And then finally, who would be this? That most people don't know who they are. And so if you ask me, hey Nate, as an example,
Hmm.
what kind of father are you? And I said, I'm the greatest father in the world. That's who I believe I am. And if you said, well, who does your son think you are? And I said, well, I believe my son thinks I'm the greatest father in the world. And then when
Hmm.
you talk to my son, if he said, you said, well, who is your father? And he said, he's a jerk. I am a jerk. I've defined myself as a father, but the only person who can decide what kind of father I am is the child. And I think that we do that in all our relationships. We think we know who we are to people, but who we are to people may have nothing to do with who people know us to be.
Lovely. That's really, really lovely. I mean, it's really inspiring and thought-provoking conversation. So, Nate, like your wisdom, energy, and the passion for humanity are truly remarkable. And definitely you remind us all that the success isn't just about the personal achievements, and it's about uplifting others and making the world a better place.
No, you can't
Yeah.
take wealth or
Uh-huh.
trinkets to the grave with you. The
Mm.
Egyptians tried it; it didn't work out.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So whether it's through intentional planning, service, or simply living with joy on purpose, we all have the power to create change. So, if you want to connect with Net, dear listeners, and dive deeper into his work, check out the links into the in the episode description. And as always, like if you love this episode, do not forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. So until next time, live with purpose, embrace joy, and keep striving for a healthy mind and a healthy life. So, with this, thank you so much.
Thank you.